This is one of football's most extraordinary stories. A tale not of an established giant, but of an underdog. A small club from the rugged coast of the Galicia in Spain that dared to dream and for a glorious moment conquered the titans of European football. This is the saga of Deportivo La Coruña, a club whose rise was as breathtaking as its fall was heartbreaking. Imagine a team once struggling in the lower echelons, suddenly challenging and then beating the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. But what happens when the dream fades? When star players leave? When the glory turns to debt and obscurity beckons? This is the story of Super Depor, a club that defied the odds, soared to unimaginable heights, and then tumbled back down to earth, fighting for its very survival. It's a narrative woven with passion, ambition, triumph and despair, all underpinned by an unbreakable bond with its fans, and the relentless pursuit of a dream, no matter what the odds. Our story begins in 1906, in A Coruña, a port city on the northwestern coast of Spain. Here is where Deportivo La Coruña was born. For much of its early history, Deportivo was a journeyman club. With the exception of a fleeting second-place finish to Atletico Madrid in the 48-49 season, they were mainstays of Spain's second tier. They were a club that produced talent. Two Spanish footballing legends, Amancio Amaro, who would go on to win the European Cup with Real Madrid in '65, and Luis Suarez, the last Spanish-born player before Rodri to win the Ballon d'Or in 1960. Both honed their skills at Depor, but collective success remained elusive. The 1960s saw them fluctuate, experiencing brief promotions followed by swift relegations. Between 73 and 88 was a particularly grim time, with two descents into Spain's third tier in 1974 and again in 1980. But each time they managed an immediate bounce back, but these were isolated moments of relief in a sea of mediocrity. The club was adrift, its finances precarious, and its future was uncertain. The true turning point in Deportivo's history arrived in the 87-88 season. The club was staring into the abyss, narrowly avoiding relegation thanks to a last-minute goal. This near catastrophe, coupled with an estimated 600 million pesetas debt, served as a stark wake-up call. Change was desperately needed, and it arrived in the form of Augusto Cesar Lendoiro, who was tasked with steering the club towards a brighter future. Lendoiro's impact was immediate. He was a native of Coruña, and he understood the vital connection between the club and its community. His initial plan was deceptively simple: just guide the club back to the top tier while simultaneously revitalising the fanbase. When he took charge, Deportivo boasted a mere 5,000 club members. Lendoiro's ambition was to triple that figure, recognising that on-pitch success was the catalyst for igniting the city's passion. And after finishing 10th in the 88-89 season, Lendoiro's strategic investments in transfers in the following campaign saw Depor challenge for a promotion playoff spot, though they ultimately lost to Tenerife. Deportivo was clearly heading in the right direction. Their burgeoning debts had been halved within 2 years, a testament to Lendoiro's early financial acumen. The culmination of these efforts came in 1990-91, where a second-place finish secured Depor's return to the top flight after an 18-year absence. By 92, club membership had swelled to over 17,000, validating Lendoiro's community-focused approach. His ambition knew no bounds. He wasn't content with mere survival. Upon their return to the top flight, the charismatic chairman significantly increased the club's budgets. The early transfer policy was simple yet incredibly effective, a mix of experience and promising young talent. In their first season back in the top flight, Deportivo narrowly avoided relegation, but what followed was astonishing. They began to challenge for the title, a feat almost unthinkable just a few years before. Their astute recruitment was a cornerstone of this success. The Brazilian spine of Bebeto, the elegant striker, Mauro Silva, the midfield general, and Donato, a versatile veteran, provided both flair and solidity. These South American stars were perfectly complemented by the Spanish core of Fran, Adolfo Adana, and Luis Lopez Ricarte. This potent blend propelled them into consecutive finishes of third, second, and second again in the league. The 93-94 season brought the first taste of heartbreak. After a fantastic campaign which included a memorable 4-0 thrashing of Real Madrid at the Riazor, Deportivo went into the final matchday leading the league. All they needed was a home win against Valencia to secure their first ever title. But in a moment etched forever in the club's history, a last-minute penalty was awarded. Up stepped Miroslav Dukic, but his tame effort was saved, denying Deportivo the win and the championship. Barcelona ultimately snatched the title on goal difference. It was a crushing blow, but it also forged an even stronger resolve within the club and its fanbase. The near miss only spurred them on. The very next season, Deportivo finished second again, this time to an impressive Real Madrid side. But they finally broke their silverware hoodoo in '95, in the Copa del Rey final against Valencia in the Santiago Bernabeu. The match was famously abandoned due to heavy rain and rescheduled. When it resumed, Alfredo Santalina's late header sealed a 2-1 victory, delivering Deportivo's first major honour and their first trophy at the top level. The success was intoxicating, and it only intensified their hunger for more. The financial landscape of Spanish football was changing, and Lendoiro was quick to capitalise. A lucrative television deal with Canal Plus in '96, which was worth around €135 million at the time, injected a massive influx of capital. This came after a relatively disappointing 9th place finish in '95-96. With his newfound financial muscle, Lendoiro sanctioned a flurry of high-profile transfers. The most significant was the arrival of Rivaldo. After reportedly agreeing to join Parma, the Brazilian maestro sensationally opted for Deportivo. Lendoiro's scouting network also turned its attention towards Portugal, bringing in future stars like current Nottingham Forest manager Nuno Espirito Santo, formidable defender Nordarin Nabet, and Helder. Rivaldo proved an instant sensation. In his debut campaign, he scored 21 goals, accounting for a third of Depor's total league tally, almost single-handedly carrying them to a third-place finish. His dazzling performances caught the eye of Barcelona, and in a move which would prove highly controversial, Barcelona poached Rivaldo on deadline day for £21 million in the summer of '97. A disappointing season followed, with the team never breaking into the top half of the table and only reaching the Copa del Rey quarter-finals. A late Pizzi goal for Barcelona in '97 effectively ended their title challenge that season. John Toshak announced his departure soon after, with some suggesting his decision was influenced by Toshak go-home messages appearing at the Riazor. The 2 seasons following Toshak's departure were relatively understated, with Deportivo finishing 12th and 6th. Following Toshak's departure and a brief, unsuccessful stint under Carlos Alberto Silva, Lendoiro sought a manager who could truly rejuvenate an ageing Depor side and deliver the promise of the nearly years. He turned to Javier Irureta, who had impressed by guiding bitter rivals Celta Vigo to a surprising 6th place finish on a modest budget. Irureta was given considerable freedom in the transfer market, and he used it wisely, bringing in key players like Gabriel Schura, Turo Flores, Pauleta, Manuel Pablo, and Enrique Romero, many of whom would become vital components of the team. Irureta's preference for the 4-2-3-1 formation perfectly suited Depor's blend of talent. The ever-reliable Mauro Silva anchored the midfield, providing stability and protection. The unpredictable and brilliant Jalminha orchestrated play as a flamboyant number 10, weaving magic between the lines. The width provided by Fran and the overlapping runs of Enrique Romero created a constant threat, generating numerous chances for their forwards. Despite a slow start in '98-99, the team found their rhythm under Irureta, eventually finishing a respectable 6th and reaching a Copa del Rey semi-final. Lendoiro, sensing that the moment was ripe, prompted yet another significant wave of investment in the summer of '99. In a busy Spanish transfer window that saw major moves across the league, Deportivo acquired the players that would propel them into footballing folklore. Cesar Martin from Oviedo, the creative Victor Sanchez from Racing Santander, and the clinical duo of Roy Mackay and Slavica Jokanovic, both joining from impressive campaigns with Tenerife. Mackay made an instant, emphatic impact, scoring a hat-trick on his debut in a 4-1 win over Alaves. While an early slump saw them drop to 7th, the results steadily improved. After a 2-0 defeat to Valencia, a pivotal 2-1 victory against Barcelona ignited a sensational 7-match unbeaten streak that propelled Deportivo to the top of the table. The run-in was far from smooth. Nervous performances resulted in them taking only 1 point from the next 4 games, allowing a Savo Milosevic-inspired Real Zaragoza to close in. Barcelona also crept in after beating them 2-1 at the Camp Nou. Despite this intense pressure, Irureta's men never crumbled. On May the 19th, 2000, just over 25 years ago, the city of Coruña held its breath. The team bus snaked through the streets, teeming with white and blue, a sea of hope and trepidation. All they needed was a single point against Espanyol at the Riazor. The stadium was filled with an almost unbearable tension, but in the 3rd minute, that tension shattered. From a corner, Donato, defying his usual role, rose above the Espanyol defence. Donato scored, lifting his shirt to reveal his dedication to a friend who was in ICU at the time. The stadium erupted. That early goal was a lightning rod, releasing years of pent-up anxiety. Donato later stated, that frightened off the ghosts of '93-94. And then, in the 34th minute, Golden Boot winner Roy Mackay sealed their destiny, converting another chance with a signature clinical finish. The final whistle blew, and the pitch became a tidal wave of joyous blue and white. Lendoiro's long-held dream, a dream that had seemed impossible for so long, had finally materialised. Coruña erupted in celebration that lasted late into the night. Players were mobbed, their shirts torn, their hair dyed a chaotic mix of colours in a dressing room party afterwards. For the veterans of '94 like Donato, Mauro Silva and Fran, it was a profound liberation. Irueta reflected on their contribution. Without them, we wouldn't have been there. That league was a way of completing the work of the '94 team. Deportivo La Coruña, the unlikely champions, had finally claimed their place in history. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy, a memory that will forever be etched in the heart of Galicia. Following their historic La Liga triumph, Deportivo entered a new era. With Florentino Perez's Galacticos project taking hold at Real Madrid, they remained a formidable force, especially in Europe. Lendoiro continued to strengthen the squad, preparing for the rigours of the Champions League. Key arrivals included Francisco Molina, Jon Capdevila, and Juan Carlos Valeron, along with Aldo Ducha, to eventually replace the ageing Mauro Silva, and attacking depth provided by Diego Tristan and Walter Pandiani. Aside from a memorable Copa del Rey triumph in 01-02, Deportivo's subsequent seasons mirrored each other. They secured second-place finishes in La Liga in 2000-2001 and 2001-2, finishing 7 points behind Real Madrid and Valencia respectively. Their Champions League campaign saw them reach the quarter-finals twice, losing to English opponents Leeds in 2001 and Manchester United in 2002. The 2003-04 season arguably showcased Depor at their most entertaining. They secured impressive 2-0 victories against both Barcelona and Real Madrid in La Liga. However, their Champions League group stage included a then record-breaking 8-3 loss to Monaco. Despite this setback, they narrowly scraped through the group stages. The journey continued with a remarkable victory over a star-studded Juventus side featuring legends like Del Piero, Conte, Nedved and Trezeguet, securing a 2-0 aggregate win. This set up a quarter-final clash with the reigning European champions AC Milan. The first leg at the San Siro saw Deportivo take an early lead through Walter Pandiani, but Milan responded ferociously, sealing a seemingly insurmountable 4-1 victory. No team in Champions League history at the time had overturned a 3-goal deficit in a knockout game. However, Deportivo's nothing-to-lose attacking philosophy in the return leg at the Riazor inspired one of the greatest comebacks in Champions League history. On a magical night, Deportivo stormed to a 3-0 lead by half-time. Substitute Fran completed the rout in the 76th minute with a 4th goal, sending the stunned reigning champions home. The Deportivo performance was so overwhelming that even Andrea Pirlo mentioned it in his autobiography. Deportivo's dream finally ended in the semi-finals against Jose Mourinho's Porto, the eventual champions. Sadly, the 2003-04 season marked the start of Deportivo's terminal decline. Their Champions League campaign in 04-05 ended disastrously, failing to score a single goal and finishing dead last in the group. Domestically, they slipped to 8th in the league and crashed out of the Copa del Rey in the round of 32. It was hard to avoid the feeling that this was the end of an era at the Riazor. While they remained competitive in the first half of the decade, the latter half saw a slow but steady descent into mid-table mediocrity, hovering between 7th and 13th. The club's financial woes became increasingly apparent. Mounting debts forced the departure of many star players, including Luque Jarminia and Mackay, as the club desperately prioritised making payments. The next decade proved even harsher. In 2011, Deportivo were relegated from La Liga following a home defeat to Valencia, the very team that had denied them the title 17 years earlier. This time the financial situation was critical, with debts exceeding €100 million. The club declared insolvency in December 2012. A year later, the inevitable arrived. Lendoiro's 25-year reign, characterised by ambitious spending but ultimately unsustainable financial practices, concluded as he agreed not to seek re-election. "My biggest mistake was not selling players when I could, but that is the illusion of winning titles," he reflected. Lendoiro, while single-handedly delivering the glory that Deportivo fans so desperately craved, was also the architect of the club's untimely downfall. His lack of foresight in managing the club's finances beyond the immediate sporting success have crippled them for years to come. In Lendoiro's place, the board elected Tino Fernandez Pico, whose background in economics and business offered a glimmer of hope. He managed to halve the club's debts by 2018, a significant achievement given the circumstances. However, on the pitch, results remained inconsistent, and Pico cycled through 9 different coaches during his 5-year tenure, creating an environment of instability that ultimately contributed to Depor's final fall from grace. 2018, Deportivo were relegated back to the Segunda Division for a 3rd time in 7 years. The club experienced a rapid succession of presidents in a brief and tumultuous period. The prospect of falling into Spain's 3rd tier became a reality in 2020. Deportivo's recent history, particularly the period after the La Liga triumph in 2000, has been a rollercoaster of emotions. The club from the Galicia experienced a gradual then rapid decline as Depor languished at the bottom of the 2nd division, a staggering 41 positions lower than their league-winning peak. A stark reminder of how far one of Spain's 5 most recent champions had fallen. But amidst the despair, an extraordinary force emerged, a phenomenon that Massimo Benassi, current CEO of Deportivo, has termed Deportivissimo. Deportivissimo is more than just support for a football club. It's a profound, emotional bond between Deportivo and its dedicated fan base. It's a legacy passed down through generations, with older fans instilling this passion in the younger ones. This intergenerational loyalty has created a growing fan base that remains steadfast even in the darkest of times, and it's now more energised than ever as the club embarks on a new chapter. A seismic shift occurred in 2020 when Spanish bank Abanca became the club's majority shareholder, with their bank's head, Juan Carlos Escotet, also becoming president. Deportivo remarkably announced they were debt-free, 24 years ahead of schedule. Significant investments are already underway. The club is collaborating with Populous, renowned architects of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to build a new state-of-the-art training centre. When Deportivo secured promotion back to the second division, over 80,000 fans celebrated joyously. Deportivo La Coruña's journey is a powerful reminder that football is more than just a game. It's a reflection of life itself, a cycle of triumphs and setbacks and unbridled joy, agonising despair. But at the heart of it lies the unwavering spirit of Deportivo, the legacy that defines the club, a deep-rooted, emotional connection between the club and its people that transcends results and divisions. They soared to the heavens, toppled giants, tasted glory, and have sadly descended into the depths of obscurity. Yet through every challenge, the fans remained, their passion unwavering. Now with a new financial foundation and a clear vision for the future, Deportivo stands on the cusp of another chapter. Can they truly rise again? Can they return to the highs they once knew? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Their glorious triumph in 99 to 2000 has gone down in footballing folklore, when they toppled the established clubs of Spain's top flight against all the odds, which will live long in the hearts of football fans all across the globe. If you like underdog stories and football with a soul, hit like and subscribe. What do you think's the most remarkable aspect of Deportivo's story? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history, one incredible story at a time.